Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Entertainment 411. We're going to get sued because we don't own that guitar riff. I'm just kidding. We bought it outright. It's ours. Isn't it great? If you know that guitar riff, you know where you're at. You're here in my house because where else, baby? Toronto, Entertainment 411. We're back. Let's point out the elephant in the room. I have a blister on my lip. It's not your screen, so don't try to scratch it, okay? It's there. Everyone knows, actors, we all get pimples and blisters too. It's here. And is live. We're doing it live with the blister. My dog is co-hosting today. A man, a few words. Okay, guys, we have a special group of guests today. I missed y'all. Did you guys miss me? I missed you too. The long weekend, I hope, was good to y'all. I steamed my house because that's what adults do. I got excited about a steamer. I saw it on TikTok. I bought it on Amazon. I'm $200 poor, and I steamed every crevice. It was fantastic. I hope you guys had way more fun than I did. We had a great show last week with some icons, some music legends. But we're back to the traditional acting point of view today. As you know, we're all things entertainment 411. We got a lot of viewers live. And make sure you guys are ready because we have a contest, okay? We have a contest for you. And there's going to be not one, not two, not three, not four, not six, because that's too much. Maybe not 7, but 5 winners today. So be sure to enter the hashtag, which I will let you know about later. But without further ado, why don't we restart the show with our guests of honor today? Shall we? Shall we? Comments? Yes. Yes. Okay. First off, a Toronto legend weighing in at, I don't know because I never asked him his weight, probably 5'10" if I could guess. A Toronto coach, veteran, if you will. You know the guy's name. If you don't know him, you're in the wrong goddamn business. Mr. Louis Baumander. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Did you like your intro? Was it good?
It was not bad. Not bad. Not what I expected, but it was good.
Yeah, it's high energy up in here. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a new guest of mine, someone I've never formally met. He's out in Vancouver, Mr. Henry J Mah. Hello, Henry of ACTg. Oh, ACTg Vancouver. I'm having a bit of a brain fart. I can't read or speak today. It's the Toronto traffic.
You have a pimple, so it's interfering.
It's going to the brain, and
Totally.
yeah, that's how they all work, right? Of course, we also have a new guest of mine, Mr. John Stevens, the founder of Act with Purpose. Hello, John.
Hey, how's it going, Fareed? Great to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good. Nice to meet you as well. How are you?
I'm great. This is great. I'm excited.
You have a nice background. May I see it? Can we tilt? Where are you based again?
I'm here in Toronto. I'm
sorry to hear that. I'm just kidding.
I'm on the subway line, though.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah. I drive like an idiot. And then none other than voice acting legend we have in our studio today, Mr. Michael Daingerfield. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Fareed. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Hello, thank you. And he's the founder and co-director, of course, of On the Mic training. So we got some voice acting, coaching, and extraordinary legendariness going on here.
It's not Bill Burr because I'm working on my my Bill Burr impression. You know,
it's pretty good. I like Bill Burr.
Get there, so it's not Bill Burr.
We're going to pay you to talk like that for the rest of the show.
All right.
And last but not least, making us all look bad because she's the real professional with an actual background, Miss Catherine McNally. Hello, Catherine.
Hello, Fareed. How are you?
McNally Kennedy Acting. Hello. Thank you for joining us. It's a nice royal blue you got going on. It's bringing out your eyes and your hair. I usually have a background as well, but I was late, so I am in my kitchen. I hope you guys don't mind.
Well, you steamed it. Good. Fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel for today. A group of veterans, amazing acting, I guess you could say connoisseurs of all things. They are the acting coaches of the world, of Canada, and they have been doing this for a collective 2 years total. No, I'm just kidding. It's a way bigger amount than that, I'm sure. We were supposed to also have Lori Perlstein, but she has had COVID, so we are wishing her well. That is still
shout out to her. She's an old friend of mine. I'm supposed to put a shout out to her. So Lori, good to see you. I've lost a few hairs since we last saw each other, but it's good to see you.
It's okay. John seems to be stealing them from everyone else. John has some of Catherine's and my hair going on there.
Hey, whatever I can get my hands on.
I like it. It's a good look. Yeah. No, yes, Lori unfortunately could not be here with us, but guys, I'm so happy to have you all on this panel. Have you guys? I'm sure you guys have seen a couple episodes. I know some of you have also done some Entertainment 401, like solo 10 questions. I'm sure. The long story short of it that I want to give you guys just to make you feel so comfortable is that I think this really blew up during COVID, speaking of COVID. And I think everyone knows that COVID brought us really close together because we were all bored as shit. And Zoom became huge. It became a huge tool for us, almost took over our business in a sense because now almost all of our auditions are using this tool. But what we found as actors, as I could speak for myself, it really grounded the entertainment business. It really separated... not separated. It really put a light onto everyone and each and everyone who is involved in our industry, whether it's producers, casting directors, acting coaches, yourself. But really more importantly for the actors, what it did was it showed that these are all human beings. Everybody here is human. We're all, affected by pandemics just like everyone else. The gatekeeper sort of mentality kind of dropped a bit. Really speaking to casting directors, we learned that, these guys are really out rooting for us. They're out to help us, to help get us jobs. And so where this show kind of came in handy is it really got to know people as the people that they are, not just, casting directors as the casting directors as the directors. It was, these people's passions, their livelihoods, what they like to do on a regular, what they eat, where they go for fun. So that's kind of the vibe that we're getting here. Of course, you want to keep a little bit of professionalism, but, feel free to tell us your guys, your hobbies and your passions and what you guys do on a regular basis when you're not, teaching acting or teaching voiceover work or coaching or running self-tape studios. These are the kind of things that the acting community loves to hear because, it obviously helps taking that pressure of this industry, on us. Because this industry, I worry when I speak too loudly. It's always, you always think the worst of, we always think the worst situation. It's the joke of, I did that self-tape, but they asked me for a directional change, so I must have sucked. And then the next day it's like, I did a self-tape, but I didn't get any direction, so they must have not liked me. They want me to just not do it ever again. So it's getting rid of that sort of thing. Without further ado, I want to just go through the room real quick. We'd love to get a nice quick intro. Keep in mind, there's a lot of you guys on the panel, so we're going to keep it nice and quick. Cole's notes of, where you started. I'm going to ask more in detail question, but sort of maybe the quick journey of, what you do, what exactly your school offers, per se, what your specialty is, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna go from my right. Wow, everything's reversed. Okay, this is the Brady Bunch. I'm gonna go to my right, Mr. Louis Baumander. Give us the quick Cole's notes about yourself, sir.
I was hoping it wasn't me. I run LB Acting. I run LB Acting Studio. I'm the LB of LB Acting Studio. I also own Casting Central, which most of the casting directors did use on a regular basis until COVID hit. And most have retreated away, but we still run sessions for a number of the casting directors online. So we don't have camera operators, we have Zoom operators. So we've learned a whole lot from casting about auditioning online because we have them here virtually. I started out, it ties into your first question, but I started out directing and writing and probably wanted to be a psychiatrist, but I wasn't smart enough. So I had to leave that. And LB Acting Studio has been around for about 22 years, but I've been doing it for about 51 years.
Wow.
And a long time. And seen a lot of changes. And every studio has its own idiosyncrasies. And as we come to talk about it, I'll bring them up specifically.
For sure. Thank you for that, sir. Yeah, you must have been affected the most by the pandemic, seeing how everyone you must have had to learn to really adjust the coaching techniques and the acting techniques as far as audition process has gone, as far as going and adapting to Zoom and using the Zoom stuff. I do think it might be intuitive because, you know, you do put things on tape regardless. It was just a matter of adjusting to the live stuff, I would assume. Yeah.
Well, we worked with a number of the casting directors, producers, how to do these sessions.
Right.
They had no idea. So we were running them for the casting directors, and we developed the checklist of all the questions you had to send out to actors. Now it's second nature, but it was tricky working with them all, trying to get them online. One particular casting director, when we were at 321 Davenport, they were still using VHS and FedEx when everybody else. So, yeah, they were using that when we had already started moving in this direction. So they had to be brought kicking and screaming into this particular world. That was not easy.
That's wild. For those who were born before 1990, after 1990, a VHS is a big black box that you stuck into a wall and had to rewind it manually. Moving over from Lewis is Mr. Henry J Mah of ACTg or ACTg Vancouver. Henry, give us the intro, my friend.
Oh my God! I talk a lot anyway, so I'm going to try to keep it short. ACTg Vancouver. It's my own business. I subcontract to MITRIBE Media, which is Rowan Jang. He's a producer and a community builder. I specifically teach on-camera audition and, well, now self-tape, because everything is self-tape, and I coach people in the self-tape, like for their auditions and stuff. I also run a couple of weekend workshops. I run a how to audition for commercials, a 2-day workshop. I run a very intense 3-day workshop called the Mastery. And on the side, I'm a life coach.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And here's the thing about that. Just again, I talk a lot. Sorry, I got to talk fast on this. One of the things that really works for me when I'm working with actors is my life coaching training, because what I try to draw to the actors is who they are in the role, instead of them reading a breakdown saying, you know, whatever the description is, and them trying to match that. It's like, yeah, abandon that. Bring you to this read. Because they invited you, read it as you. That's my premise.
Amazing. Interesting. So we have some Toronto, we have some Vancouver, we have some beautiful blue backdrop at Catherine McNally. Hello, Catherine. Give us the quick intro.
Sure. We are in Distillery District. I work with my husband, Robert Kennedy. We have been actors and coaches for combined together for over 70 years, I guess. And we're primarily, but combined. I say combined.
I don't know.
So we've been coaching for a very long time, but we're and actors. And how we came into the coaching was the transferable skills and the understanding of practice what you preach, being in the trenches with you, you know. And then we did a lot of different coachings in institutions, educational institutions, and then a boutique studio, which we left around 2018 and decided we would start our own venture. And it's been a wonderful, we do self-tapes. So we were kind of set up for COVID. We were already doing Zooms already. We do one-on-ones, and we have small classes of maybe 4 people so that we can have a lot of on-camera time. We do developmental theater as well as self-tape Zooms and things like that. And it's been a wonderful venture. And to be linking arms with my husband, it's been great. We work really well together. Both perspectives of the male-female perspective has been really interesting. Yeah.
Sure, 100%. And your husband, remind me?
His name is Robert B. Kennedy. Yeah.
Robert B. Kennedy, correct. Yeah. I met him, I think, before.
Yeah.
Mr. Michael Daingerfield. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I started about 2 months ago, and because you were sitting out. I had to. So I started acting about 28 years ago, which I cannot believe. I don't know how that's possible. And I was doing on camera and voice. Wow. And then the last 8 years, I've strictly been only doing voice. which has been great. And then I started on the mic training back in 2007. So we're 17 years in on that. I founded that here in Vancouver. And now we've really expanded. We're really leaning into we offer a diploma program in voiceover, which is really exciting. It's a 6-month program, 480 hours of curriculum, graduate with a diploma and a demo, and it's amazing. So we've been doing that for about 5 years now. We've graduated over 200 people, and just we're seeing incredible transformation. People that are coming in that are just like really, closed down, and then we just, open them right up and teach them they learn about themselves and then learn how to express themselves based on who they are and what their voice print is. And it's been really exciting because we're the only ones in the English speaking world doing that, offering a diploma program of voiceover. So it's been a lot of fun. It's
amazing. I'm trying to convince my wife to move to Vancouver because I am getting tired of Toronto. So I will be applying for that school.
Nice.
See you in 20 days. Okay, Mr. John Stevens, founder of Act with a Purpose. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Give us the quick intro.
Sure. So I have to say, you brought up something really interesting when you're talking about COVID. And the thing is, I think the other kind of residual that came out of that was accessibility. And there were a lot of people who were further out who just didn't think acting would ever be a part of their lives. But now things, as soon as it opened up and people could do self-tapes and online auditions, it really made it a different animal, and it did open it up. And accessibility is a really big theme for me. So in addition to running Act with Purpose, I run a foundation called Act on Ability, and I work with persons with disabilities and help them get the training that they need and the exposure. And it's really been an awesome thing. So in terms of Act with Purpose, I like what Henry was saying. I think that what we try to do is really help people find the purpose of the overall story. What is the purpose of your character? How does your character help move the story along? And then breaking it down, what's the purpose of this scene? What is the purpose of this line? What are you trying to do to the other character? And so it's about getting people to understand. I also like what Lewis was saying about psychology. I think that there's so much of that ties in. So what we do here is we do training primarily online. I do some in person, but primarily online. Right now, I primarily am in Canada, but we are opening up in the US in October. And then in March, we are opening in the UK. And what we do is, I think you were joking earlier about I think there's lots of different things that actors face. One of the things is the lack of feedback. And, we send out so many auditions, we send out so many tapes, and we don't know, how we're being perceived. And so what we do here is we train people for 12 weeks, and then we bring in a panel, much like we have today. And I bring in casting directors, agents, managers, directors, producers, you name it, to watch them do their scenes. And then at the end, they get a sheet full of 20 different perspectives of how they were perceived doing that particular scene. So kind of filling that gap for actors where they don't get feedback, making sure that they get it.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing when you're, especially new in the business. You're going to have super thick skin, and it's hard to, not know when you're doing a good job. It can be easier said than done. It's if you're getting auditions or they keep calling you in, it means you're doing a good job. It just might not be the right part, but there could be some frustration there. It's true. My wife sometimes is just like, "So, did you get it?" I'm like, "I don't know, and I'll never know." I've had a job where I got a call. Here's a funny story. I got a call from my agent. He's like, "Hey, remember that thing you auditioned for 6 months ago?" I'm like, "Yes." "Oh yeah, they cut that character out, and now they brought it back because there's a writer's strike. So you would have booked it had they had the character, but they cut it out. So you booked it. So they want you to shoot for a month." I'm like, what? How many of these exist? You know what I mean? Where you don't even know what happened. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe no one got it. Maybe they just got rid of the character completely. So, anyways, that's a great initiative, John. I'm glad to have you on the panel here, guys. Folks, it is going to be a great show. We have a lot of live viewers. We have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to go through our questions. There might be a point in time where I just kind of stop asking my questions and ask the audience questions, because to me, that's the most important thing, is the audience engagement, and the show is really for the audience. So right off the top, again, let's keep it nice and quick. We're going to do a quick just like introduction about how you guys started your journey as acting coaches. I know it's tough, especially for those who've had a lot of experience, to try to consolidate it, but give us the key points. But before we do, you guys see the ticker down here below. Here, I'm going to move down. I'm going to switch spots with you, Catherine. I'm going to wait. Watch this. Look at that. Whoop! See that right there? All right down there. There it is. There it's going, guys. So there is a contest, guys, up for grabs. We have 5 winners. The hashtag is Coach Me Please, and we already have some Coach Me Please entrants. Look at that. Ashley Perrywood. Hello, Jamie Hill. Hello, Bonnie G. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Petra. You guys are all entered. So keep on entering, guys. I will do the draw near the end of the show. And that's a chance to win a one-on-one consultation with one of these lovely, experienced coaches we have on this panel. But without further ado, question the first. What was your journey to becoming an acting coach? And now, Catherine, you're first. So you're going to start. Yeah, look at that.
I'm not going to start like when I was 16, blah, blah, blah. But, I played a bumblebee in the
2022?
Yeah, when I was 22. Yeah, but I always, I wanted to remain creative. I wanted to be a constant learner about the craft of acting. And I think sometimes, I think it's it may be a little bit selfish being a coach, but I think you learn about your craft by teaching it to others. And I found that that was something that I could do that gave me time flexibility in order to do my acting. And then it just sort of evolved into something that I think some actors think that they can just coach and teach, but I think you have to have a gift for it. I think you have to have a certain sensibility of communication and being able to switch back and forth. We have to switch back and forth of actors to coaches. And then it's been a wonderful journey to link arms with my husband, who's also an excellent actor, and he's sort of segued into it. So really it just came from a practical purpose and also just the basic love of actors. I love actors. I think what we do is absolutely imperative and makes a difference in the world through the world of storytelling. So if I can be a contributor to that, I'm very grateful and very honored to do so. That's kind of why I do it.
Preach. The VIPs of COVID were actors and Uber drivers. Fight me on that one. I'm telling you right now, they were the VIPs. It was food and entertainment, and that's what kept us going. No, truthfully. Thank you for that, Catherine. That's a great journey. Moving over, Mr. Lewis, please.
Well, I will start. I will start at high school. But when you're
1999, right?
Yeah, somewhere in the 40s, but somewhere people are, your parents, everyone say, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? What are you going to do? What are you going to be? And it's like at 18, 19, it's a heavy question. And I had no idea. But I had this thought that I didn't want to have to work 5 days to get 2 days, to get 2 weeks. And what could I do that I could just essentially hang out and learn with people? So that's where I initially thought about psychiatry. And then, long story, I won't go into, but I got accepted into the theater department at York University, met Naver Moore. He invited me to the department. I wrote a play that I didn't trust anyone to direct it. So I directed it, and bingo. I got to hang out with people, learning about the human condition and just sharing who we are as we grew. And that was the only real career choice I made. I just didn't want there to be a separation between who I was and what I did. And now 3 years later, I still hang out with people, and that's essentially my job. As I hang out and I learn and I teach and I share, and it's a really cool gig.
No doubt. Sorry, I got disconnected. I got kicked out, but I heard the last part of the story. I know you well, Lewis, so don't worry. I've read your bio. We're good. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Lewis. I appreciate that. That's great. Moving, let's go downward. Let's go with Mr. Henry J Mah. Give us the journey, my friend.
It's funny. It's like a couple of things that have already been said are also influences of mine. I actually knew when I was like a kid, like very small, that I wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know how to get there, and in some ways, actually stumbled into it. And thankfully, not having to do 11 years of university and post secondary and all that stuff. I did this work. I did the mastery workshop, the one that the intense 3-day thing in the early '90s, and then I wasn't even in the business at the time. I decided to be an entertainer at that time, and then I started taking acting classes, and then I got an acting job, and then I started co-running the mastery workshop as a leader, and my business partner, also my mentor, which I'll talk about later, invited me to sub one of her on-camera audition classes because she just trusted me to teach. And I never taught audition or anything before, but she trusted that I could teach, and that was in 2006. And I'd been learning how to teach on-camera audition as well, and like what Caplan said, as well as I discovered a proficiency in how I do it, which is for me, it's all about drawing out the human being in that actor. And what Lewis said, I took psychology in university for 2 years before I left university. Because I love people too. I love actors, love learning about people, and I love it when people learn about themselves and they can do something with it and tell that story from that instrument. And yeah, so just the beauty of all that. That's why I love doing this, and I will continue to do this when put me in the ground.
Amazing. Thank you, Henry. Mr. John Stevens. Hello, sir.
Hello. Well,
journey.
It's been an interesting one. So I actually started off in the circus. I was in Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus when I was growing up. I started from the age of 6 doing.
You're a real life Robin.
I'm weird. Yeah, so I did stilts and unicycles and trapeze and tightrope and all that stuff. And then and I was introduced to it by my grandfather. And my grandfather, he was the closest person to me. I was a latchkey kid. And unfortunately, at the age of 7, he committed suicide. So I came to acting for a very different reason, kind of tying into what Henry and Lewis are talking about, the psychology side. My parents put me into acting because I went nonverbal. And acting really helped me process the emotions and the pain and all that sort of thing. And it wasn't until, up until that point, I was like, I told my parents, I'm going to be a clown when I grow up. And that was what I told everybody. After I started taking acting classes, I think I'm the only person who went to my parents and said, I think I'm going to be an actor. And they were like, yes, we are so excited about that. It was just because I wasn't going to be a clown anymore. But that was my weird little introduction into it. Lots of stage credits and that sort of thing. I finished doing Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby, and at the end of that run, I just really had to have a sit down with myself and say, my body can't keep doing this. I was primarily known as a dancer and a singer, and I thought, well, what can I possibly do that will keep me around? And kind of like what Lewis and Catherine were saying, I had to find a way to keep it in my life. And so I kind of wandered into I was living in Miami at the time. And I walked into a studio and said I'd be interested in teaching. And within 4 weeks, I was running the school. It was a total accident.
Wow.
I did not think that it would go that way. Kind of like Henry, I started off as a substitute. I went in, I subbed an audition class, ironically, same as you. And the kids, I was like, what have you learned? And they were like, nothing. I was like, okay, well, you want to learn? And like, well, we want to learn how to put together a resume. We want to learn how to do this. So I started just kind of feeding them what I already knew. And I fell in love with it. And I really, I say that coaching found me. It wasn't something that I necessarily planned or sought out.
Wow, what a story. Wow. Yeah. All right, Michael, follow that up.
Jeez. That's a tough act to follow, John. That's an amazing story. Wow, that's like real. That's great. I was watching the movie as you were telling a story. That was really cool.
I was really hoping that like your school starts off when they walk in the room, you're just on a trapeze and a unicycle. You will fail this class the first time you enter. You will be a master at the end of it.
Full clown makeup comes out.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's amazing. I love it.
So I am going to go way back, but I'm not going to spend long there. So my mom got me in when I lived in Toronto. This is back. I'm 53, so this is back in 71. I was a baby model. So they literally would put me on the set as for like Eaton's magazines and Sears catalogs and like all this stuff. And my brother and I got all into it. We were doing like, modeling and commercials. And I did that till the age of 10. And then I got out of I left the city, but I got into tennis. And tennis has been a really big passion for me in my life. Like I had a scholarship to the U.S. and I played on his NCAA Division I team. And then I started teaching tennis because I had this passion for teaching. I was like, really enjoy the concept of like trying to have someone get something and then seeing them light up when they get it. And it's very gratifying when you see that, right? So I'd been a voice actor and actor on-camera actor for about 10 years. And I thought, you know what? I want to try to start teaching voiceover. I think that's that same thing, that same drive of the gratification of seeing them get it. So I started in like 2006, just some independent coaching, taught for VFS, Vancouver Film School, and then started kind of teaching my own thing in Vancouver, not necessarily on the mic training, but that came a year or two later. And and it just became that like, well, if I can teach tennis, I understand how to convey an idea and a concept to someone, I can apply that through voiceover and that's what happened. And so, I'm, I guess, 18 years in of teaching at this point and having a blast.
Wow. All right, so just
You're really
to wrap
good at it too.
Just to summarize it, we got some psychiatrists, some psychologists, we got some former clowns, former badminton players, former tennis players. That is life experience right there, my friends. So only here on Entertainment 411. That's my plug. That is my plug. Thank you so much, guys. These are amazing stories. And again, thank you for being on the show. This is great. We got a lot of live interactions. Guys, don't forget to enter the contest below for your chance for a one-on-one with one of these amazing folks. Actors are watching this show. So I guess the quick question for you all, the first sort of in-depth analyzational question, that's not a word, I made that up, is what advice do you have for actors at the beginnings of their career? If you could summarize it in like 3 or 4 sentences. I mean, it doesn't have to be 4 sentences, but that kind of like, what are the first things you tell someone who's going into acting? What's the first bit of advice? Anyone who wants to start, put your hand up, like a class. Michael, yes.
I'll say that they have a complete willingness to express themselves. I would say this more for me for voiceover, because voiceover is all about external sound, external audio. So you can't sort of get away with like the subtle on camera, role in voiceover. You have to produce sound. Yes, it can be subtle and nuanced and all that, but you really do have to be willing to. Oh, that's my child talking through the door. Sorry, everyone. I'll be there in a minute. See, this happens, right?
Great. You're wearing pants, right?
So yeah, it's like be willing to. You got to go there. You got to be willing to express yourself. To then obviously learn about what your voice print is, how does your personality show up in the characters and the narrative reads that you're going to do, and start there, and then from there, do as much as you can. Do an improv show, do stand-up comedy, do a play, learn from many people to start, rounding out your knowledge to start defining what your baseline is,
Yeah. Amazing. Henry, you had your hand up. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
First time actors, beginning of their career.
Two things. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
Right. Like some actors, they go on to they dump everything. Don't do that. The other thing is like touching on what Michael said is like my take on it is be open to discovering who you are, because that's a big part of this process. Because what I notice with what comes up for actors is when they're playing certain characters or trying to, all of their stuff about either that character or that character's feelings comes up for them. And it's like, well, if you want to do this, you, like you, the actor, you must be willing to move past that so we can actually see your heart. We actually see you, and that's one of my motivations for. So I tell them that. So it's similar to what Michael said.
He said something interesting. Don't quit your day job, and I like that. I counter it a little bit, but I like you're 100% right because I've experienced that life. I actually, when I first started, the one thing I always said to myself was, I'm going to have day jobs. I'm going to have jobs, obviously, because I got to live. But acting is always going to take my, like, priority. I don't know. Something about it. I feel like it's such a strange business that it's like, and I find it's an interesting thing in Canada, and you guys can maybe interject here. The business doesn't really care about your time. They don't care about your, like, your holidays you've booked or your weddings or your 9 to 5. It's, hey, yeah, you booked this show. You're flying to Nova Scotia. You have 2 weeks to get there, and this is what happened to me for real. You know, agent calls me and is like, hey, yeah, what are you doing? I'm at work. What do you think I'm doing? Okay, you have to quit. I'm sorry, what? You booked a series regular. You have to fly out in 2 weeks, and they're gonna film for 4 months. Okay, all right, see ya, bye. Like, it's crazy, and you have to also be willing to say okay. Sadly, at this point, anyways. So you're right. And then you know what's funny about that, Henry, is that, like, you know, I worked on a show for 3 years straight, didn't have and then all of a sudden it's back to work. The show gets canceled and you're back to work, and it was all a fever dream. So yes, don't quit your day job. It's a very, very interesting point.
And the tag to that is also find a day job that gives you that flexibility.
Correct.
So
yes.
Yes. And then Catherine wants to speak, so I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah,
you're right.
No, I think there's about 3 things I'd like to say. First off, understand that I think this world of this is giving a false perception of what acting is, because it's all about transaction. It's all about what it is on the surface. You have to understand that you're just seeing the beautiful swan. You're not seeing the little feet struggling underneath. So you've got to have grit. You got to know you're in it for the long haul. You got to be resilient. And I think you've got to get away from being a people pleaser. I think that happens a lot with younger actors, is that they're very young and impressionable, and they think that they have to go in there and do what they think the casting director wants. You have to authentically embrace what the character is for yourself, and not even look at it as an audition. It is your opportunity to create this performance. Your performance, your opportunity to act for a minute and 30 seconds. And also understand that you are not playing the breakdown. So you can't play the idea or the emotion or play the breakdown. You're playing the relationship and what you're doing to affect the other person. That's what the camera is going to pick up. So I think those are the 3 things, is that know that it's not about how pretty you are that's going to give you sustainability, or the most talented person in the acting class. It's what grit is going to keep you sustainable in this industry. So you got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, especially this year. This year sucked. Sorry, this year sucked. Right now, this year was terrible. Survived.
You're not alone. I think there's a lot of actors out there. It doesn't matter what age in the game they are in. Who are still going, I'm still not getting feedback, and I'm doing great auditions, and they've been doing it for 40 years, and they're still wondering where are these going. So it's you got to have a certain, what's between your ears is the most important thing that's going to get you through this, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's your mindset.
Grit. I like that. I love the grit. And
I just want to say on that, Catherine, it's just that I think that there's also I don't know, it's like people want it like right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they start the business, they're like, I want to be the voice of Disney or on the big series or whatever it is, like in 4 months or like, and it's just like it truly does take time to develop the sea legs to navigate through it and to be able to do it and pull it off, to go to set, go to the studio and be great, you know. And it's okay if it takes time.
It's not a 100-meter dash; it's a long run sprint.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun. Louis, John, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think that like along with what you guys are saying, managing expectations coming into it, there's people who come in, they take one class and they think that, they start telling me what, shows they want to be on, and half of them, have been canceled for 4 years. So, they just not understanding and thinking that, there's a sense of entitlement. I think, again, going back to what Catherine, I think the phone, has created and social media has created an unrealistic sense. But just because you take an acting class doesn't mean that you are owed an agent, you are owed a role or anything like that. It is still something that you have to, like you guys have already said, being in it for the long haul.
Even thank God they took an acting class. The amount of people who are just like, yeah, I wanted to be an actor. I can do that, right? Have you even taken a class, for God's sake? Oh, I got a picture. It's fine. This is my face. Okay, good for you, pal. Lewis.
Yeah.
A few things, but one, never give away your trust too easily and keep your dignity at all times. I think that would be first and foremost. And the goal is to get better, not to book.
Yeah.
I think, and remembering that your characters don't want to book parts.
Yep.
Your characters want what they want. And to me, every audition, you get one, and the first thought has to be, amazing. What tiny part of the human condition do I get to explore today? Wow. Like that's where you start. And it unfolds from there. But really, it's the trust and the dignity issue, because when you are so desirous of something, you are open to every snake oil person out there who will capitalize on your dreams and take advantage of them and use and abuse that privilege. So keep your trust and maintain your dignity, and every audition is an opportunity to explore the human condition.
So on the piggyback of that, there's the Association of Acting Coaches and Educators that if you want to look for that gives you a really good sense of who has been vetted and who's been followed through in the code of conduct too as well.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to point out. There's a lot, and listen, I'm all pro acting classes. Don't get me wrong. I think it's like a gym. It's like anything. You got to go. You got to work out. You got to extend the muscles, or you got to learn. You got to learn how to lift the weight if you've never lifted before. But agreed with Lewis. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. Yeah, and that has been my biggest fight is that I've been pushing is against those that exist. And I'm going to say the word culty sort of acting classes. Ones that say if you don't train with me, you'll never make it. Ones that promise you stuff and such. The ones that take advantage of the insecurities of the actor and say the little things that get them excited, but say, "Oh, but if you come back for $3.99, I'll get you to where you want to go." Those are the things that I am terrified of.
I just want to piggyback on that. I think it's really important to diversify your training and to be generous. Like I always think it's a good sign of a coach saying, "Hey, try me, try Louis, try John, try a different coaches and find out what's right for you." I have had many different trainings, and all my things that I've learned, I call it my little tickle trunk, and stuff that I pulled that I finally learned, maybe I understood that was taught to me 20 years ago, I finally get it now because I'm a different person, I have a different life experience. So I would say, shop around and explore. And if they're ever selling you on just come back and then you can do this and you can do that, like I think that's a red flag too as well.
Amazing.
And look at their IMDb account. If they're actors, if they say they're actors and acting coaches, look at their IMDb account and see if they've been working.
100%.
I also give free audits. Like if they want to come and check me out.
Sure.
And the other thing is, like, if you've worked with me for a couple of years, it's like if you're feeling it's stale, actually move. I tell actors move on. Actually try someone else. You've had me for 3 years. Thank you. I mean, I love you, and
absolutely. Quick cutaway to John Stevens' class again on the time.
But I'm glad to hear other people say that because I've often suggested other people's classes. And people are shocked. They're like, "You're sending me to another school? Do you not want to work with me?"
Oh my goodness.
And it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with, you can, if you're only getting one perspective, it's not going to serve you like we've been talking about for the long haul. So
Yeah.
You have to think abundantly, not with scarcity mindset. And you gotta
100%.
think
Exactly.
business possibilities.
Get rid of lack thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. This is the greatest segue ever. This is a show that I've created about terrible acting classes. This is called Day Players. It is the world's worst acting class. We're going to take a quick break so everyone can go and drink a drink and use the toilet. This is a show about a school that you don't want to attend. It's coming out very shortly, guys, online. Here's a quick break from my project, my passion project, Day Players. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
You are a born protagonist. Look at you. You're a failed professional.
Okay, I wouldn't say failed.
You're finding bastion of hope in a rundown old school.
I mean, it's not that
It
bad.
just happens to be shared by the only woman who ever broke your heart.
What did you do?
Shh. Just watch.
I've got a lot of auditions lined up, like so many auditions.
I can imagine. I can relate. I'm having so many bookings. Like it's like a library, just books everywhere.
That's right. You're looking at the host of Canada's Next Great Handyman.
I nailed my audition, bro. They said they'd call me.
Guys, I'm gonna be the host of Canada's Next Great Handyman.
You are looking at the host of
Right over.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit of hostility from you right now.
Oh, please mansplain it to me so I can understand it better.
Clearly, you don't know what mansplaining is. Let me break it down for you.
He's dead.
Which is the purest and greatest form of theater? Improvisation.
Told you I would eat you! I told you I would eat you! Woo! Let's go!
I cannot watch this anymore. This is agony.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That's the class you don't want to take. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
That
Bravo.
was awesome.
Thank you, Chad.
It's so Barry, but
Huh?
Canadian. It's so Barry, but Canadian.
Yes. We're going to have a screening soon, guys, so stay tuned for that. I will be giving away a few tickets at a couple shows coming up after TIFF for the private screening of Day Players, episodes 1 through 6, which will be releasing online very shortly. Guys, go out and create your own work. I've always pitched this. It's not easy, but trust me, you will thank yourselves later. It's a great calling card if you ever want to travel, if you ever want to go into another country to do acting, if you ever want to create your own work in the future. With that, we're going to come back to the questions, guys. Those are some great answers. And, speaking about creating your own work, here's something that is important. And I'm going to rephrase this question because we all know that it's important to have a demo reel, and demo reels are great tools as actors. Maybe let's talk about what can you guys offer as far as helping create a demo reel. What are some tips for people who don't have the footage to do a demo reel? What are things they could use instead for maybe an internal demo reel for casting directors? Anyone want to take the floor on this?
Well, I'm just
Go ahead.
jumping in.
Go ahead.
Jump on it.
We have certain material that we use, so we'll help curate exactly what they're looking for. So diversification. So you want something that's really going to reflect who they are. Usually maybe 3 scenes under 2.5 minutes, but we coach them and work with them over a period of time, and then we curate it down to creating a demo reel with the blue backdrop. And if they have something that they've done from their film school experiences or any of their training, that's great. But some actors, have still in theater school, some of them have showcases where some agents just come and see their work, but I also think it's great to have a demo reel.
8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Amazing. Michael, for the voiceover stuff, do you guys offer like voice reels?
We do, yeah. We do produce professional demos for people, and it's really important in voiceover to have a demo because in order to pitch an agent or a casting director or studios or a potential buyer that may be looking on your website or whatever it is, you've got to have that polished. Like, here's my range. Here's what I do really well in commercials. Here's what I do really well in animation. Obviously, it's you do one demo for each genre like that. But that's the name of the game in the industry. I mean, you really pretty well can't get represented unless you have a demo. And you also want to make sure you update it as much as you can. Like, I update mine every, 18 months. Like it's like a clothesline of clothes that are like hanging up, and there's a shirt and socks and shorts, and you pluck one off and you put one back on that's a new one, or just because it provides this sense of freshness to it, gives you a reason to send it out to people. And it's a huge part of your marketing assets for voiceover. Yeah,
for sure. Louis, you wanted to say something earlier on the voice?
Yeah, we do some similar to Catherine, and I think most studios do variations on that, and are very good at. They start to know you, and they can help you with your reel. We for many years did a thing called Ideal Reels, where we.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, and we did maybe 12 sets of them. Then COVID hit, and stopped doing them. Also, they weren't particularly cost effective. Actors got great reels, footage, but it really became a loss leader for us. We weren't really making any money because I didn't really want to charge that much for them. But recently, I've met with some motion capture people, and I've seen some of their studios, and I went to one. It was extraordinary. Just I could stand there and be in the Alps, the Sahara, and in a little cafe in Paris, and it's both real. You have like it. Amazing. It's using like the old force perspective, but there is like a real table where you're sitting at, then another layer of real people, and then 2-3 layers of virtual, and so we're looking at ways in which we might be able to work with that. It's still a very expensive proposition. It's still relatively new technology at this price point. I mean, they're doing it obviously at a huge price point. But the other thing, I think you've got this, as much as this is a horrible device, right, everybody could make 2 movies this week.
Yeah.
You write 4 lines, 2 for you, 2 for a friend. There you are on the couch. There you are on the couch. Go into iMovie, edit it, make a title page. You got yourself a movie. Then get really ambitious. Walk somebody to the couch. Walk somebody to the couch. You may have to look at a YouTube video and learn a little bit more about that kind of editing. But in a week, you've made 2 movies. Now, they'll probably be terrible, but hit delete, but you've made 2 movies. And that notion of I made a movie, rather than I'm waiting for phones don't ring anymore. I'm giving myself away. Emails come in. But it's just that existential nightmare of sitting there waiting. It just sucks the life out of an actor, so that by the time an audition comes, they're 30 yards back. They have to get back to the start. But create your own work to start with. Find a good studio where you trust the coach, and let them help you curate, to use Catherine's word, a few little pieces, so that because sometimes actors are just, I'm going to do a scene from Chinatown or a scene from Apocalypse Now, and like, no. I mean, it might be fun, and do one but no one wants you to see you the horror. Like, no one wants to do this.
Louis, it's so true. I wanted to just say, I mean, in 05 and 06, I wrote, executive produced, starred in my own pilot for a TV series, and shopped it to networks, had a great team, Gary Harvey and Force 4 in Vancouver. It didn't go to network, but it changed my whole career. Because they saw me as someone who was a doer, and then all of a sudden, it's not like my stock went up, but they saw me as someone who's like, oh, this guy's really, like, I was up for a few nominations for Leos and stuff, but it's like they just saw me as a productive human being. I wasn't necessarily a better actor, but they were now bringing me in for bigger and better parts. And I can't agree more. I mean, you got to do stuff on your own. Don't expect it to come to you. You know, go out and
work ethic is a huge plus as being an actor for sure.
What's that?
Self work ethic and drive.
Yeah.
Complacency, not having any complacency is a big it's very advantageous as an actor. As you said, there's an aura that gets added to you, even if it doesn't go to network or what have you. Yeah. These are great, guys. Amazing. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Here's one more so about prep. I'm sorry, my Chihuahua just won't leave me alone. I apologize. just on my lap.
It's the co-host.
What is the biggest mistake actors make when prepping for an audition?
I'll jump in. I think putting it off.
yeah.
What's that?
People putting it off.
Right.
Just not diving in, right? Like as soon as you get that audition, if you're not diving in, your competition is. And I've had people come to me and expect to come in for a self-tape and they're not off book. You know, what do you want? What do you want me to do with that? So I think the biggest thing is people procrastinate. And if there could be a workshop called "Learn Your Effing Lines," we would all be teaching it. But yeah, it's important. You can't play within the character, and you can't explore the lines down. So jumping in right away. Don't put it off.
I also think sometimes in the text, if they don't know what a word is, or they think they know what a word is, or they know what the phrase is, or they don't know a reference, like they're referring to Frank Sinatra, and I go, "Do you know who Frank Sinatra is?" And they go, "No." It's like, look it up, Google it. It's right there for you. You should know everything, every reference, every fact about what that scene's about.
Now, would you guys say that there's such a thing as too much working out prep?
I do.
I think so too.
Yes, you can obviously you can overdo it. You just like when you work out, if you haven't gone to the gym in a month or two, and now you decide to go and do 2 months work in that one session. So you haven't had an audition in 2 months. So now you're going to put in all of that work. You can burn out your brain and your muscles. But I'm going to disagree with you, John, about lines. Because I think I would say that the lines are not the most important thing. I don't believe anybody has ever lost a part because they forgot a line, mispronounced a line, stumbled over a line, inverted a line. They have lost a part because they acted like a big baby about it. That they have. And who wants that person on the set? If you can't handle a dropped line, obviously in a perfect world, you know your lines, of course. But increasingly, we have such a tight turnaround. And I think what actors are doing are trying to do this amount of work in this amount of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anytime you try to do this in any aspect of your life, you're going to get stressed. And if you get stressed, you're not creative, and it just becomes self-fulfilling. So look, if you got a week, have your week's prepped. All the little things you want to do in a week, do it. You got 5, but like we do when we plan a day, you have X amount of time. Just be judicious about your time. What can you do in the time you are given? Don't try to do all of that in that amount of time. I think that's, and it's, I would say that more than anything, I just see actors trying to do too much work in this amount of time, and they are so obsessed with lines, they don't even know what they're saying.
I take it back up. Sorry about that. But in the theater world, theater actors are so word driven. And so sometimes when you get theater actors coming into film, they think it's all about getting the lines. And I was coaching a wonderful theater actor today, and she was all stressed because she didn't know her lines. And I said, that's okay. We've got an hour together. And we know about the retention, right? When we study our line, we remember it. We connect it to the thought, the action, relationship. We remember it, but we know the next day if we go into rehearsal for a theater project, we only get like 50% of it retention. And then with But with the film, you can capture that moment in that time when they've laid it organically through all the bells and whistles, all plugged in, and we got a really lovely tape that came out of it. So I'm not saying don't be prepared. Come in, know your work, know your basics, fundamentals, and then see maybe what happens if it's a film audition. I think that may be.
I think to John's point, I think he was talking more so. You guys are all saying the right things. I completely agree. I think John's saying that sometimes people are just not even relatively prepared. I feel like if you know the gist of the lines, like I'm a guy. Here's my thing. My superpower is I lucid dream my lines. I go to sleep and I wake up and my line is memorized. I have that weird skill set. It can become very dangerous at times, but like as long as we know what the hell we're talking about in this, and if you mess two lines up or switch words around or say this instead of that or there instead of that and what have you, and at least you know what you're doing. But I think also it's funny because like just the biggest joke of it all is when I was on my show, there are times where I'm like, I'm not memorizing this, and my friend's like, why? I'm like, this is gonna get cut tomorrow. I'm gonna read the whole thing 90% of the time. Bree, do you have a new monologue? It's like never gonna stay the same. Sorry, you have your hand up, Henry. You so patiently. Go ahead, brother.
It's just that what came to me listening to the other panelists talk is one of the biggest mistakes actors do in auditioning is they apologize for their work.
Oh God, yeah.
And like either as they're coming in the room, this is when we had in-person auditions, or while they're doing the job because like apologizing because they didn't either have it memorized, they didn't do it the way they wanted it, blah 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 blah, or afterwards when they're leaving the room because they're judging what they did.
Yeah,
like
shoot themselves in the foot.
Yes, do your thing and just like this is what you got today.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll say quickly, Fareed, for the voiceover side of things, my biggest issue with like say an animated series comes through with a breakdown, there's 5-6 characters that they're sending out and you get to choose sort of what ones you're going to audition for. And I find, the biggest problem that young actors have or veterans even is that they're submitting on every single character.
Oh gosh.
When they're not staying in their lane. So they're submitting like probably 2 or 3 that are solid, but then they're submitting another 2 or 3 that are like way just not in their personality or voice print lane. So they're sending in some garbage. And what do you think the casting is going to think? Like, you know what I mean? The casting is going to go, well, yeah, you send me some good stuff here, but why would you send that in? That's not great work because you want to be associated with someone who only sends in great work. So work on those 2 or 3 that you really vibe with and just send those in. I mean, there's auditions that I turn down auditions all the time. I mean, I'm repped in 8 different markets around North America. I'm like, nope, not right for me. Because I want to send in stuff that I can crush. And I just know what I'm right for. And I always say to people, please, please, please just send in what you're right for.
I self-tape for the 5'10" Caucasian all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. Shoot your shot, baby. No, I'm kidding. No, these are all amazing points. And I think another thing about the line memorization, it's kind of changed too now in a way where I find, and this is going to be my next segue to our next conversation, is Zoom has changed everything, like the self-tape Zooms. Not Zoom. What am I talking about? The self-tape submissions, which is majority of what we're doing now. What a coach of mine back in the day said, in the room, if you mess up a line, just do it, treat it like you would on set. If you go, I don't know where my keys are. Just pause and pick it back up and just start again as if it was meant to happen. Because what they're going to do is they're going to either cut around it or they're going to stop you and start again or what have you. But as long as the confidence is there and you're still in the moment, it's fine. This has become less of an issue now because self-tapes. Now we have self-tapes and I'm doing 5 or 6 of the same scene and it was the first one all along. That was the one I'm going to submit. So that's where it becomes tricky. So I guess my next question that I'm going to ask, it's not even on here real quickly, is what are your guys' thoughts on the self-taping, self-submitting self-tapes versus the in the rooms? I know there's pros and cons. We talked about the accessibility for some people who are living far. And then we also talk about, missing the aura that comes of presenting yourself in a room full of a casting director or producers and getting the feedback live and not having to guess as to what they want or being able to give them multiple takes. So let's talk about that real quick. What are you guys' thoughts on the pros and cons?
More control, but less awareness of what the lane is that you're supposed to be in. And that's where sometimes you can be just over here and you're supposed to be there. But you can crush what you're sending because you're doing 60 takes or whatever, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then, but if you get a simple note, like, no, it's actually just over here. That's a very quick fix in the room. And I miss that. That's what I
Yes.
miss. Whether film and TV or voice, it's the same. I feel like that's the same thing.
I think
Yeah.
self-tapes are. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think in terms of self-taping, I find that a lot of it is generational. That the younger actors, they love the self-taping. They love the control that they get from that.
And the convenience.
And the convenience of that.
Yeah.
I work with a number of 2 or 3 agents who have veteran actors who would not be caught dead in an acting class ever. And I get a call from the agent saying, "Look, would you just look at a couple of their tapes?" And their world is walking in a room. That's who they are. That's when they come alive as an actor. And they love so I find a lot of it is that part is generational. The self-tape doing too many takes. I think you're right. It's rarely more than the third.
Yeah.
I think it's rarely past the third one.
Sometimes you got to do the fourth to know.
Said, right? I mean, how many takes does Clint give you? Maybe 2?
Yeah.
He's gonna give you 2 lines. Clint will let you say the last sentence of the word before he cuts you off.
So,
We got it.
We're going a lot.
But that also goes back to earlier. It goes back to prep. It's like if you're prepared, then you only need 2 or 3 takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's
and also, like,
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming from an actor standpoint too, as well, right? So, in the world of self-tapes, there's two angles to that, right? You get more actors having more opportunity. So I may not be seen for that role. Now I'm being seen for, and they're going, okay. So hence the recent role that's in The Apprentice, where Mary plays mother. I wouldn't have been seen for that if I was going in the room, but because it was a self-tape, I'm sure it's because they saw me. However, what happens with that too as well is that it's a free-for-all. So you never do get that sort of distilled down.
Right.
It is the convenience things. I loved going to Casting Central when I was there, but I'm in the distillery. Going there in Toronto traffic is brutal. So there is that kind of convenience part of it that's really a challenge, especially if I'm doing a commercial audition. If I'm doing a self-tape, thank God, like really, I'm just doing it and I'm popping it out, and that's great. But it's a really fine line, and I do miss. I'm missing my colleagues in the green room. I miss having that community. That you're not isolated from each other. So I also miss the immediacy of your gut, ready to go into that room, and knowing you have to show up and do it, and that connection that you do have with your casting director. So there's 2 things involved in that.
I'm going to put out a little bit of hope into the world here. We have seen in the last 2 weeks, not a lot, but 2 casting directors have booked 3-hour, each booked a 3-hour session for callbacks. It's we haven't seen that in a while, and we have done over the last month maybe 5 or 6 hybrid sessions where the actors have been brought in, standing on the mark. I have a monitor here, and the actor is somewhere else. And I got 2 people behind the table, and I've got producers, showrunners in Vancouver and Los Angeles. And so I've got a switcher now, or Casting Central, and we are able to do that now. So, but that's all relatively recent.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not an anomaly, but it just feels like springtime at Casting Central at the moment, because it's been pretty nasty, I got to tell you.
Yeah, I
think
find that there is pros and cons for sure. John and Henry, Vancouver market, is it the same way? Are you guys doing a lot of self tapes? Is it a lot of self submissions? Is it more in the rooms out there?
There's a couple of there's a casting person that did start doing some film and TV in person auditions, but mostly it's pretty much 80% self tape.
Yeah, I think all of mine is self tape. I do have some clients that like I feel like if they had the opportunity to be in the room, they would probably shine better. Their person, you don't get a chance to know the actor as a person in the self tape. You know, we get a quick slate, and then unless the casting director asks for a personality slate, they ask a personal question, you know, something along those lines, and you get a chance to hear the actor explain themselves.
Yeah.
That's the part that's missing for me is getting to hire the person, not just the actor.
I agree.
Yeah.
Shout out to Force and Force Casting, and obviously my love to Susan. Oh, what a sad situation. She is doing something that I actually think is amazing. She's still doing digital, but it is live Zoom, which I find is a nice in between. You know,
Robin Cook does that too as well.
Yes, Robin Cook does that as well. Yes, who I love. Nice. Actually, I booked strangely enough, my biggest role was all Zoom. It was the strangest anomaly. Chemistry read over Zoom.
Yeah.
It was all Zoom, and it was the strangest thing. And I asked my director, I said, how was that for you? And he's like, you know what? It was actually really good. I said, why? He said, because it was like I was looking at a monitor. I saw your monitor, and I saw your monitor, and it was together, and I would see on set. So there are some good, for sure. There are some good. There are some missing things, and that's the oral. Guys, we're going into an hour, and I'm sure you guys want to eat dinner. So I'm going to wrap this up with a final question that I think is very important. Then we're going to do the draw. So the final question that I'm going to ask is a biggie. It's a toughie. It's one that I'm very passionate about, as well as eBoss Canada is passionate about as well. Is what can Canada's entertainment industry do differently in order to grow? What can we do better? So tell me, y'all, what the hell is up with our business? And what can we do better to improve it so that I don't go to the USA and become the other Ryan Reynolds?
Well, I want to start.
2027. You're in it. Let's go.
Say that again.
I want to start.
Deadpool 2027.
Yeah.
Right. What? Because I've invested in this.
That's a big question. Yeah.
I've invested in this breed. More diversity lead roles and more diverse stories about diaspora, not just. Not just like what I've been reading for a lot lately is like, because I'm Chinese. Do you speak Cantonese? No, I don't. Oh, I mean, like this is but I do a really good accent.
Fuck. Oh man.
And I have the beard, right? So that's for me. Like this is strictly speaking to Canada's entertainment industry. The other one is like I think Canada is such a. We can be an independent film industry on our own. We don't need to be a service industry to the U.S. We have everything. It's just that I think that some of the people who control the money bags, they're just more interested in. It's like, you pay us, and we'll just do it for you. But I know that we can do this as an industry on our own, and then invite them to come work with us, as opposed to being their
filling in of gaps.
And I think there's also talking about diversity is moving away from just the U.S. as well. There's so many other markets that have so much to offer.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm seeing some beautiful things come out of Germany, some incredible things out of Norway. I mean, why are we just so focused on the U.S. where we've kind of become, and I can say this as an American, I'm going to say that Canadians have become kind of a slave to the U.S. market, and not all these great productions that are coming up here, and then what's left for us as Canadians is going to be the little under 5 role or the smaller bit parts. They're casting so much out of the United States, but there's other markets. There's other markets to tap into and to introduce into the Canadian way of things, and there's so many incredible creatives here that I don't feel ever get the opportunity to do what they're really good at because they're so stuck with the U.S. market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to make, it's almost a facile comment, but we need to make more babies. I mean, we don't have that population base to work in that particular way. A slightly more controversial one is that I'm not fond of telefilm. And I think what telefilm and some of the other funding bodies do is they have their criteria, they have their story editors, they have their dumbed down, watered down, homogenized world, and creative people are looking at that to say, okay, how do I get telefilm money? How do I get the Harold Greenberg Fund money? And so what they're going after is the money rather than what do you want to say?
Yeah.
Find your voice and say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we get hung up on we need government funding for this and that, I'm not adverse to it, but as long as the government funding is tied to a particular aesthetic, then that film's not going anywhere anyway. It's on life support from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I think when we got to stop asking for permission.
Yes.
I think we just have to dive in with no apology and stop having this colonial mentality that we are sandwiched between the Brit thought and the American. We are an entity on our own. We are a creative force on our own. And people know that that's why they come here. They want us because we're so talented. Let's take it and go for it. I think it's really important. I really believe in it. And sometimes this whole star status system is in the mindset of these individual gatekeepers that make no sense. Like Joe Blow in Mississauga is not going to know that actor, but they think they do because of whatever they did somewhere else. Really take a risk and not take a risk, but actually work with people that you know are gifted, intelligent. You can tell. Just go for it. Work with them and see what might happen. And again, mindset of scarcity doesn't work in any arena. So really embrace what we are and who we are, and the stories that can be told. The diversification too as well, and age too as well. Let's not forget people over 40 or 50 or 60. Like those stories need to be told.
Or 70.
Or 70.
I think it's I agree. I think it's doing your own work. I speak from experience that completely changed my experience. I learned so much about every part of production by doing that, by being involved in the edit. And it made me understand from that side. So I think if more and more people are doing that, we're producing more and more work here, then maybe the CRTC is going to pay attention to that and buy more, put more dollars towards original content rather than buying up US shows to air here. I think we got to continue to keep the rates as high as they can be. I think if we accept lower rates, we're accepting it sort of determines our value.
Yeah.
Right? We have to keep truly, if it's like, no, it's scale minus 25, well, then they know that we value ourselves at scale minus 25.
No.
We
ask for what we want.
We value ourselves at, and they're coming into service. So I think it's a combo. There's a lot there. It's like we have, like as Catherine was saying, world-class talent. Let's promote the world-class talent, but we do have to create some of our own work. Catherine was mentioning about Jonathan was mentioning about what's the movie I just saw from Finland, The Worst Person in the World. Anybody see that?
Yeah.
No.
Just an extraordinary movie that, I didn't know anybody in it, but it actually did well at a lot of the film festivals. And, this is what it takes. It's to take a balance of like, we do our own work, but when we service the world's work, we keep our rates as high as we can.
Yeah. So you think of the Canadian music scene, right? Like I think of all those amazing Canadian music artists that we all know now internationally, right? Because they had airtime. And they made it mandatory to have airtime.
Yeah.
But we missed the boat with film, where you could have, with every 3 American, you always have a Canadian up there in Sault Ste. Marie or in Wawa or whatever, that it started the conversation. We missed the boat on that. So because of streaming, there's no excuse anymore.
Now we got to take the plane. F the boat. We're taking the plane. It's faster, and then we're going to pick up speed, and we're going to get there, right? That's the kind of mentality you got to have. It's true.
Yeah.
Canadian-ness has got to stop. I'm so sorry of saying sorry. I'm not saying sorry anymore. I'm tired of that.
Exactly. Like I said earlier about apologizing.
Yeah, exactly. But we got to stand up, and that's the thing. We got to stand up for what we're worth, and I think you guys have made some amazing points. With that, guys, it has been a pleasure and a privilege. You guys are a treat. You guys are beautiful. There's no way, Louis, you're over 70. That's a lie.
72.
Show me your ID. Gun you. No, okay, no, amazing. We're gonna do the giveaway, guys. Are we excited about that? Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, I'm gonna give you guys 2 more seconds. As I do this, I have a good amount of entries. It's not too late to enter. Hashtag coach me, please, if you want a one-on-one session with one of these amazing folks. Here we go. I'm gonna present the screen. Come on, share screen. Where are you? Here we go. Boom. Look at that. Look at technology. All right, guys. Our first winner of the giveaway contest is... Wait for it. Wait. Someone just entered and it didn't register. Alexandria, did you just enter? Hang on. Let's see here. Let me go back. Yes, I did. Okay. Here we go. The first winner is... Come on. Hey, Pedro was what? What's Lawik Lee? I almost said it. I think I said it. Congratulations. Cool. You were the first winner. We are going to contact you via email as well. Please send an email out to us at is it on here? Where is it? It's not on here. Yes, you got it. Yes, congratulations. You're very welcome. Charlene, can we please enter the email into the chat room so that they can contact us as the winners? I'm going to draw one more. Here we go. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to run out of saliva. Our next is Chris Sellers. Congratulations, Chris Sellers. You are a buyer today, Chris. You have won a one-on-one session with one of our fine coaches. We're going to do 3 more draws. Ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath. Here we go. A silent draw. No drum roll. Just pure silence. The winner is... Who's the winner? Hey, your best friend, Chance.
All right.
Adorable. Do we have an age limit? No, it's okay. You can enter. I'm kidding. You're going to have to enter a skill testing question, though, afterwards. Who was the first president of the United States? Just kidding. Okay, 2 more entries. Here we go. And roll the dice. Hey, Sarah Taylor. Congratulations, Sarah. You have won. Guys, I hope you're still watching. If you're there, please comment on the section below. We're going to send you an email shortly. And our final winner of tonight is going to be... Jamie Hill. Congratulations, Jamie. Longtime viewer, Jamie, who's been with us lots of times. Guys, thank you so much all for watching tonight's show. This is, of course, Entertainment 411111111. We are joined with Catherine, Lewis, John, Michael, Henry. You guys have been a treat. You have joined us from the East Coast and the West Coast in your bedroom in a green screen. Lewis is in someone's house. He doesn't live there. I'm just kidding. You guys are all in your house.
No, I'm in my office, which is where I live actually most of the time.
Thank you so much. You guys are all welcome to come back. You guys have given me insight. You've given all of our viewers insight. This has been an amazing panel. You guys rock. Michael, John, and Henry are going to visit you guys in Vancouver very shortly, I'm sure. Okay?
Sounds good.
Catherine, Lewis, I'll see you in the traffic across the street.
In the
Ladies and
parking lot of the traffic.
Yeah, the parking lot of the traffic. This has been Entertainment 411, brought to you by MITRIBE. Here's a quick video from our sponsors and the outro. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Good director who gives you good notes. I'm going to be a bad director who gives you lousy notes.
MITRIBE Studio. A versatile space for your projects. A space to find your tribe.